Hey everybody, today I am back home in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I'm going to finish up a little project. I have one plant that needs to go in the ground and I want to dig that hole before it gets any warmer because it's supposed to only be in the mid 80s or upper 80s today, but the humidity has been really high, so it's been uncomfortable for working. You get really wet. So I want to make sure and get that done while it's still a little bit cool. I'll give you a little tour of how things are growing, both here in the Hydrangea house, over in the little hosta glen that I have going on, and in the front yard. So this early evolution hydrangea, nice small one, you can see it started to blush. So it gets a little bit more of kind of a mauve color versus some of the pink that you'll see in some of the other panicles. This one stays so nice and small and compact. If you're looking for this and you can't find an early evolution, the tiny quickfire is another option. This one right here is a Limelight Prime. A lot of people know about the Limelight. This is the upgrade, and you can see it's blooming a lot earlier than our Limelights are. Also, it tends to get a little more color, and it stays a little bit more, I guess it has more branches, I guess is what I'd say. So it's got a little bit tidier habit. And then right there's my Persicaria, looking great. This is the Invincibelle Lace. That's an arborescent variety. Has a lot more of those fertile florets that the pollinators love. As you can see in there, there's one just sucking up all the good stuff. And then I have my Aurelia Sun King there in the back. People said, be careful, that one gets really huge. I hope it does. It can cover everything back there. And then over here, I have a Pinky Winky Prime. So this is the upgrade of the original Pinky Winky, which is a panicle hydrangea that I absolutely love. Look at the length of this flower head already. They can get like 16 inches easily, and it's already starting to blush a little bit. So it's getting a little bit of pink. So one of its characteristics is it'll get that hot pink color, and it'll gradually go up. And so these new blooms will be white, these will be hot pink. It's just a really beautiful one. Then the pink ones that you see back there, those are going to be Invincibelle Ruby, and they need another year in the ground to produce stronger stems. They don't like being in nursery pots. So these are going to really improve next year, I think, but they're looking okay. This one here is my Bobo. Bobo is one that stays a little bit shorter, at least here in northern Michigan it does. Some people in other areas have said it's gotten pretty tall, but look at how much flower coverage this thing gets. It just becomes a complete bouquet. And the flowers themselves are a little smaller, but the flower heads are enormous, and it gets a lot of them. Now this one here, this is the Quickfire Fab. This is a great one because it blooms really early, has those great white flower heads. They turn color pretty early on, get a nice hot pink bloom as they change. And Liam told me last night, he said, this one is my favorite. He loves how it's blushing. He loves that it's blooming nice and early. So I'm happy that he's enjoying it. And then this one here is my Let's Dance Sky View, and it's doing pretty good. It was a small plant when I put it in. These shoots here are all new. So I'm looking forward to see how long it takes before those will produce new blooms. The blooms that exist are doing very, very well. They're holding up perfectly. So I love seeing those in there. And then back here, an Invincibelle Sublime. So you can see some of the newer blooms are a little lighter, and then it just goes to this beautiful lime color. Really a nice, interesting one. I think it makes a nice, good backdrop. This one here is my Tough Stuff Top Fun. And so you can see my blooms are, drying out slowly, so they're not looking quite as fancy, but I have new blooms coming. These are all new. And as these age, if I don't want them anymore, that's all I do is I just look underneath here and I just cut them right above that leaf set. That's all you do. That's the only trimming or pruning you have to do. You don't even have to do that. You could leave the blooms on there if you want, but I want to maybe at some point clean those off. I'm going to leave them there for now though. And then I have this one here that I'm ready to plant. I wasn't going to do anything over here, but Liam said, I really think we need something over here. And I really wanted to grow a LoveaLot Pink panicle hydrangea. So I don't know that this is the perfect spot because this one gets 3 feet by 5 feet. I think that will look good look pretty good there. It'll fill this space. I don't know if it's going to throw a lot of shade over here, if it's going to be a problem, but I've already kind of decided that all of these plants at some point might need some rearranging just because I planted things pretty close. So we'll see, but I'm going to just dig the hole over here and make a go of it. The LoveaLot Pink is designated a Zone 5 hydrangea, but I was a little suspicious that maybe it just hadn't been tested in colder zones because it has all the characteristics of a regular Zone 3 hydrangea. So I put it to the test and planted them in grow bags last year and then left those grow bags way out in the open in the driveway where they were exposed all winter long in Zone 5. So that was up in Posen, and they came through amazingly. In fact, they are arguably some of the best looking hydrangeas we have in the driveway right now. They're nice and tall. The stems are super sturdy. The flower heads are just starting to form. So we'll have to see just how big those flower heads get. Last year in the grow bag, they had beautiful flowers. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that does. And I figure it is a good idea for me to test it. I know when I put that video out last year of me doing that, some people were a little critical, saying, you know, why are you subjecting this hydrangea to this? Why are you trying to kill your plants? I didn't think that it would actually die, so I was pretty confident with it. So this will be the true test. I have it in the ground here in Zone 4. If it can survive this, I know for sure it's a Zone 4. But if it can do Zone 5 in a grow bag out in the open, it should be just fine. We'll see though. Let me show you how things are doing out here in the front, all the things that I planted. We'll start right here. The Incredible and Annabelle hydrangeas are looking fantastic. Bees are all over them. And last year we trimmed them a lot higher than we normally do, and we've noticed a little less flop. So I'm going to be trying a little higher even more this year to see if that helps prevent some of the flopping. And then this here, that's that canna I had gotten. Looking great. I am having some probably slug damage, so I got to get that more sluggo out. And this here, these are not bugs or anything. This is pollen falling from those hydrangeas. So at first when I saw it, I thought, oh no, what's happening? But that's just some pollen. And then the other plants that I had put in, these are just annuals along the bottom. They're doing really well. I'm happy with how those are growing. And then over here, I do have, this is a Color Rush Purple. I really like this petunia. The flowers are a little smaller than a wave, but they're similar in color. And right now it's kind of in between. You can see it's got a lot of new blooms coming. I think it just hasn't gotten as much sun this week. So now the sun's coming on. We're getting full force. And then got my coleus. This is my ground tomato, the Aunt Molly's. This is such a delicious, it's like maybe like a tomatito. They call it a tomato. I think it's tomatito. These things, once these turn papery, this one might be a little early yet, you just pop them out. Yeah, this one's still green, but when they turn yellow, they are so delicious, like really sweet. They're still pretty good when they're green, but I'd rather have one when it's yellow. Let's see if this one's yellow. There it is. That's what we want. This is gonna be so tasty. Yep. Now back here, my hellebores and hostas are doing fantastic, but you can see that snow on the mountain is creeping in. It sounds like the only way to get rid of it is to cut it back, and then with this new growth, spray it with something like Roundup. But you got to be really careful when you do that because you don't want any of the Roundup drifting onto other plants. So a lot of times people will use a rag and put it on there, but you need to be suited up. Like make sure you're wearing heavy duty gloves. I don't know, I'm emotionally up for that right now, but you can see this is the old hosta damage. But even some of the new ones are getting some hosta damage, so I'm going to have to watch out for that. But everything's doing pretty well back around this side. Let's go up to the front. I'm happy with how everything's doing here. This is that hot-blooded lantana. So this is just an annual, but I wanted to give that splash of color in here. There is something that's dropping this unusual fruit. I don't see anything around here that has that, but there's been a couple of them that have appeared here. The ground covers seem to be doing their thing. I kind of feel like maybe I need to just make sure I give them a little space so that they can keep spreading. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep an eye on them. And then we'll look through. The one that I really like is this Veronica Rippins or Creeping Speedwell. People say this one's very vigorous, but that's okay in this space. I don't know if I need to move it back. It seems to just be pushing the mulch as it goes, but this has gotten a lot bigger since I had planted it. It's nice, and it's nice carpet here. Like I really like this one, how it looks right now. Hopefully it continues to do well. The lamium have grown quite a bit since I planted them. Marigolds, these are the big duck marigolds. These have been taking their time producing blooms, but they're going to be beautiful when they do. The Gaillardia keeps going. I really do love the flowers on these, and then you can see how the spent blooms look. This is always a really nice one. Sedums are all looking good. And then here with my daylilies, I do need to come in and cut these spent blooms off. Just so that they look nicer. And then I do have weeds coming up all over the place. They're not really bad right now, so if I keep up on them, it won't be that big of a deal. And we come on down, look at this one. I love that yellow on there. And then this is the white swan marigold. This is that butterfly bush, which is not really a butterfly bush like the buddleias that we think of. That's my cosmic orange cosmos. This is the Picoti cosmos. I'm looking forward to that. And then some cocoa marigold. And you can see sometimes when they're really happy, they get too heavy for their space and they crack. But look at the size of those flowers. Really quite nice. So overall, gotta say I'm happy. I got a little work to do. It is getting warm though, so I am gonna just stop recording, get my work done, and get inside.